Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. This is your host, Steve Ramona. And my next guest, I am pumped about. I know I say I get excited, but this guest came from South Africa. He's now in America. He's seen both sides of what life could be and how different can be. And he's talking about legacy, which I think is so important. And it's something people don't think about enough, but we're going to talk about it today. Wayne, welcome to the show.
Hey Steve, I'm so excited. Honestly, just like you are. Like I feel like we should have hit the record button probably 20 minutes ago, but I'm super excited to we started hitting it off talking about everything. So
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just recreate it somehow. And it's interesting. Your business name is Journey to Legacy, which I had mentioned. Why those words and what's the goal?
yeah, so those words have come after almost a decade in entrepreneurship where I've just been honestly mostly chasing the money. And I realized over these last few years that that's not what it's about at all, right? That if we're constantly just chasing money, just chasing really this end, that we're losing so much along the way that I now argue means the very most. And so what I'm trying to have people focus on is the journey. And then the legacy is honestly making a difference in this world, right? For a lot of people, it's completely different, right? However, you define that for yourself, whether it's something huge or whether it's something as small as you left your family in a positive state, right? You're remembered as like an uplifting person. But end of day, it's like that journey piece that I want to focus on, right? Because it's so much more than just whatever your end result was. And so that's sort of what I've learned over the past few years. And so Journey to Legacy is still somewhat new business, but it was about a decade in the making.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So interesting. We talked about earlier in the green room about legacy, and not everybody thinks about that. Why do you think that's happens?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think there's two sides out. If you're thinking about legacy, people want to be remembered, right? They don't want to necessarily be forgotten once they die, once they're gone. But the side that I like more, right? Because I try and remove as much of myself as possible, right? Like I don't want to do it just for fame or for glory, right? My name to be remembered, but I want to leave the world in a better place. And I think more and more people are starting to feel like that, right? They understand that the impact that they make now is going to affect the future, whether that's good or bad. And so more and more people, I think, want to make sure that what they're doing while they're here on Earth is that good side, right? So they want to leave a positive legacy. But Steve, I think legacy means a lot to you. Also, we sort of talked about it. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that's more and more prevalent these days?
Well, it brings your passion to you. You want to leave a legacy. You're going to move towards positivity, to doing good things and serving. I serve every day. Perfect example. We got together and we hit it off because I served you.
Yeah.
That's a legacy that I think everybody should leave in so many different ways. It's a great question because it ties in servant leadership. If that's missing, I think the leader is missing something. What's your thoughts?
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Right. If it comes to leadership, right, and being a servant to people around you, I think that's probably the most important thing that there is, right? I think we're blessed that these days people are understanding that leaders, lead from the front. They're not the person with a whip, right? Or standing on top of their high and mighty horse, like yelling at their servants. You're actually the servant, right? If you can look at it that way, um, you're going to be such a stronger leader. Like that is what, in my mind, the argument of what a leader actually is a servant to their congregation, if you will.
If somebody's a business owner or CEO, startup, whatever, and they're listening to this, and that sounds great, but how's a legacy help for my business? I need to grow. I need to scale. I need to make money, get employees and all that, expenses to pay. How does legacy help with that?
Legacy, how it helps with your business growing or expenses to pay, is that it's going to help you to focus more on the long term than the short term instant gratification. Right. So for some people, they're like, well, I need to make money today, right now. Sure, I understand that. But what if you make money today, but you did it in a way that wasn't serving others truly, right? It was sort of in a more scammy way, for lack of a better term. Well, now your business might end next week, next month, because you're focusing on this short term. There's so many other options that could happen, right? Because you're focusing on the short term, you miss something. But by focusing on that legacy for your business, thinking long term, you're going to be taking the actions today that's going to be building. So you're still here 20, 30, 50 years from now. Your business is still here even once you're gone, right? So it's going to take care of all of those finances, all of the employees, hiring more people, growing by focusing on that legacy even when you're gone.
Yeah, that's great because you're doing a disservice to your employees when you do that short-term sell, scam, pitch, whatever, because your business goes out, like say during COVID, 10, 20, whatever many employees you have, they have no jobs. You left them on the street, right?
Yeah, right. I think a lot of times people now talk about building a much more solid foundation,
Yeah.
right? Like what's the best way to build a skyscraper, right? How do you build the biggest skyscraper? It's you have to build the biggest, most solid foundation first. I actually saw some sort of meme or image, and I don't know if it's wholeheartedly the truth actually, but it was talking about bamboo, how bamboo grows. That like for the first few months or even years, it growing really slowly but the roots are expanding a whole lot, and then all of a sudden it just shoots up, right? And so let's think about the long term, right? I mean, I know we were talking a little bit that especially with your podcast, you've had some pretty quick, rapid success. And so with that, and with thinking about legacy in the long term, right? How do you think those things can sort of play together?
Well, great question. I love that you're asking me questions because every time in my life where I had to leave a job, we sold our health club. I've been there 20 years, my legacy, but I didn't know what to do next. But because I built a legacy of serving people during the health club, a member reached out and said, hey, I've got a job for you months later. If I hadn't served them, I hadn't built that legacy, I hadn't got to know them and build a relationship, that probably wouldn't have come, which led to me opening my own company. So it went back to my legacy / network. I think they're the same. And my company took off the first year because everybody wanted to help me out. Yeah, I did recycling, computer recycling. Yeah, I got a computer. Yeah, go call my friend. Legacies can make you money now before you leave this earth. And I think that's what you focus on a little bit too when you help people.
Huge, right? And the focusing on people piece is interesting also, right? Because what I heard you say there is that at the health club, right after it had been sold and you guys moved on, it was somebody that now helped you bring success now, right? Helped you move faster into success now. So that's, I think, a different perspective that everybody should hear, right? And start to understand that although we're focused on leaving our own legacy on this world, the best way to do that is by focusing on others, right? I love your podcast, that it's the title, that it's all about leading with a servant's heart, right? Making a difference with a servant's heart, because that's what I think the biggest trick is, right? People say that the easiest way to ensure that you make $1 million is to go help 1 million people, right? And by no means I would argue that it's going to take 1 million people, but I can guarantee you, if you help 1 million people, you'll make that $1 million and you'll leave a crazy legacy, because every single one of those people now, you help them, you touch them, right? So let's make it more about others than about ourselves, and the legacy piece is almost going to take care of itself.
It does. And 1 million people, you get $1 from each person, which is not going to bank anybody's bank. That's $1 million that you've made. I love how we're connecting here. What's interesting, we're talking about people, but I've been thinking about this through the show, a business legacy. Let's use Amazon. What a legacy they're leaving, good or bad. I mean, some people hate them, some people love them.
Sure.
That's a legacy, but holy mackerel, they changed the world.
Yeah, they seriously are. They seriously are. And we can only hope and pray that it's overarching for the better, for the good, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious, right? Let's dive a little deeper into this though. But do you mind sharing a little bit, like what is your opinion if we're talking about Amazon and we're talking about the impact that they're making on the world?
And it's perspectives. We're human. We have different thoughts and
Of course,
perceptions. And I think Amazon's done some brilliant things, given opportunities.
mm,
And like any company, they're going to make mistakes. People
sure,
love and hate Google. They've given to the
sure,
world. Bill Gates, he's philanthropic, but
sure,
he's done some things not, I've thought not so good. We
sure,
won't even get into. So
sure,
legacy has, you don't have to leave a legacy with everybody. That's the key. Don't start a
sure.
business and go, I want every person in the United States. Well, there's
Yeah,
360 million people. I don't care what you're doing. If you
mm,
got a million, like you said, if you sold a million people a subscription for 99 cents for your business, that's $1 million a month. Listeners, I want
mm,
you to think about, are you going to be pretty well financially? And you're going to have financial freedom?
yeah. Yeah, and you're helping so many people in the process. Like it's pretty unbelievable. Um, uh, I don't remember where I heard the quote from or exactly, but it's essentially along the lines that the more people, the more fans that you get, right? The more people that you help, automatically, the more people are going to dislike you also, right? And that's
Yep.
just the nature of the game, the nature of the beast. And that started getting me thinking a couple of years ago that I was like, man, I don't know how many quote unquote haters I have. How many people dislike me? And then it made me realize I was like, I don't know if I'm trying hard enough. I don't know if I'm making a big enough difference yet because it's an absolute fact that the more people that you're helping, the more you're getting out there, the more people will automatically dislike you just simply because of humanity. And oftentimes it's because people have something inside of themselves that they dislike, right? And so they're jealous or they're upset because you're doing something that they're not. Um, but yeah, so it's a double-edged sword, especially then when you're
Yeah.
talking those big businesses, right? Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, whatever it might be, right? But for me, all that I can hope and all that I can control, right? I can't control it actually at all. And so all that I hope is that by making more money, by making these huge businesses, they have the ability, they have a bigger and a bigger ability to make a positive difference. Will there be some negatives? Absolutely. Everybody has their own opinion also of what's positive and what's negative. But now they have the ability to make a bigger and a bigger difference.
Yeah, and one phrase I heard a couple of years ago, I used to be emotional about how people thought about me. And you're right. I can't worry about it. You can't worry about it. But she said, what you use this phrase in your head, what you think about me is none of my business. And that's absolutely
Nice.
true. You don't like me because I'm wearing this shirt on the podcast. Again, it's none of my business. You don't like the shirt. You don't like me. You may not like this show. And that's fine. I'm just bringing a legacy, a group of people that want to help with me to spread the word about servant leadership, about serving in business, serving in life. And that's my circle. That's my tribe or community.
Right.
And that's all where legacy should be. It shouldn't be everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. What you think about me is none of my business. That's a great one that I haven't heard before. I think it can help a lot of people get over the fear of judgment as well.
Yeah.
It's something that I've been speaking a lot about, toying a lot about. And so I'm curious, from your perspective, right? Being a little bit more in the public eye now, I suppose, how do you handle that piece of the puzzle of outside judgment, outside opinion?
That phrase comes to my head all the time. I tell a lot of people, I speak it out loud, and it hasn't
Nice.
affected me. And I'm a faith guy, and I'm still going to love them,
Beautiful.
but love them from afar. They're not going to be in my circle,
Sure.
which is okay. We all, you
Sure.
listeners, all going to have your own circle. You, Wayne, and that's what serving's about. Who can you serve? Don't try to serve somebody that's not listening. And I've tried to do
Mm,
that. Oh, let me do this.
sure.
They don't do it. Do this, and they don't do it. And for months, I spent hours with them, and they don't take
Mm,
the actions. Well, you're doing a disservice to me and them by keep doing it. Just move on.
yeah.
It's okay. Release them.
Yeah.
Love them from afar.
Release them, love them from afar. And those are great, great like piece of advice right there, right? You can't serve everybody. You don't need to. You can't change everybody's mind. And don't try and help people who aren't wanting help, who aren't willing to accept it, right? End of the day, we can't change people.
No, you bring people value. Everybody you meet, some accept it, most accept it, some don't. And it's happened this week. I had a one-on-one with somebody, tried to serve. I couldn't bring them value. It just didn't go there. And that was fine. Hey, great media. Here, let me send me information. Instead of attacking them, saying, hey, you're doing this, doing this, which I wanted to do. But I just shut up and listen. And and my listeners have heard that. A legacy person, a person that wants to build a legacy is going to shut up and listen. Because if you don't listen, you can't serve. How can I serve you unless you say, hey, I helped you with your waiting room thing? Well, I listened. Steve, how do you do the waiting room? If I was doing this and looking away and what'd you say again, Wayne? You're just cutting off the energy. It's all about energy. With legacy is energy. What kind of energy you put out there, right?
Yeah. It's so true, right? I think if you're talking about that energy piece and legacy, right? Before we started hitting record, you mentioned something along the lines of if there's a full-time dad, right, versus a big CEO, right? Who's to say which one's going to leave a legacy, which one's not, which is positive, which is negative, right? And I think bringing energy into it, as far as the energy is a part of that legacy, is amazing, because a full-time dad who maybe doesn't end up making millions of dollars, doesn't reach hundreds of thousands, whatever people, right, is putting an energy off to his family and his immediate circle that can leave such an amazing legacy. It can, right? Still, it's not automatically going to, but it can leave such an amazing legacy just with that energy, versus, of course, somebody who's now running a huge business, right? Their energy, once again, it could be positive or still could be negative. That legacy, right? How, if we're talking about how they're as a person just being remembered, all goes with that energy piece.
It's so big. And the other piece to this, answer this question: education with legacy. How do we bridge that? I want a legacy. I love what you're saying, Wayne. Steve, I love what you're saying. But how do I learn it? How do I get educated to do that?
How do you get educated around leaving a legacy, or the importance of it? That's sort of what you're asking. Yeah. I think the only way to learn it is it's going to sound so dumb. It's with the willingness to learn. That's as simple as I want to put it, right? I put out a video on Instagram the other day around, I think it was talking specifically around success and what success is, right? And I think the only way to reach success, to be successful, is by focusing on improving yourself every single day, right? It's knowing that you need to keep learning, that you can always keep getting better. And that's the exact same thing with legacy, right? If you start to realize, like, wow, legacy is it's seemingly important, right? I'm hearing more and more people talk about it, and you understand yourself. I want to leave a legacy, but sure, it's this big thing. I think as long as you are now open to it and you're willing to work towards it, that's the key. That's just the piece, right? Being open and willing to always better yourself, and thus you're going to be helping to better others as well. I don't know if that kind of answers your question. I'm curious your thoughts right around that education and legacy.
It does, because that's the basis of all learning, is the willingness to do. Why does I go read, think, and grow rich? Why did you do to this webinar or whatever? I also think education is got to be practiced. I think legacy is more a mindset, but serving is a skill. And I teach people all the time that skill. Every person you meet, bring them value. Awesome. But you got to practice.
So I'm curious. I'd love to hear some about that, right? So serving people is a skill. What are some small pieces that can go into that can help people to learn to be a better servant?
Here's a challenge I put out for everybody. Starting on Monday, your week, go out and serve everybody you run into virtually or in person. Write it down. If you don't worry about it. But if you can, write it down. I helped a lady with her groceries. I called my best friend whose dad just died, and I supported him. I brought 5 referrals to Wayne. I gave this guy a resource on it. Whatever that is, do it for a week, Friday or Saturday, Friday afternoon or sometime on Saturday. I want you to go through all those notes. How did it make you feel? How did it make them feel? And the most important thing, I think, is how much did you grow and change for the better?
Beautiful. Beautiful. So it sounds to me that the way to become a better servant is to focus on helping people and then record it. Is that the biggest piece, the recording of it?
Exactly. We got gratitude journals for manifestation.
Sure.
And I'm actually going to build, and I'll announce it here. I'm working on a serving journal that people can do this every week until they.
Awesome.
My superpower is, and I'm going to be blunt, braggadocious in a great way, is today's a perfect example. You talked a couple things, boom, I gave you a couple of tips, and you're like, oh my God, Steve, that's great. Our energy level for both of us rose.
Sure.
Does it stay for a second, a minute, an hour, a week, a month, a year? Doesn't matter. But if you go out, every person you run into and bring them servant mentality with love, your universe will change. That energy in the universe changes. It's done for me because one thing that we do when we serve that I did so wrong for 10 years, I didn't receive. I'd give you a couple referrals, Wayne, and they go, how can I help you? I'm good, Wayne. You take care of those referrals. I turned them into a taker.
Oh, interesting.
And I was doing backwards energy. And I learned this about 8 months ago from a very successful businessman who built his whole business on legacy and serving millions of dollars. And he said, Steve, you've got to receive that gift. It's a boomerang.
Wow.
You sent the boomerang out to Wayne. Wayne asked for you, for your help. And that's where partnerships, collaborations start.
Yeah.
Now it's as the Godfather says, an offer you can't refuse in a happen chance, but it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Interesting. So by giving and not being open to receive, you said that you're turning other people into almost just takers.
Because they took those referrals and in their mindset, I want to help Steve. And if I say, I cut that off and say, no, I'm good, I don't need any help. One, a little bit egotistical, like, hey, I'm good. I don't need help, which I just realized just this second. But what he told me was that, and I didn't realize it. And I could see people's face like, well, you sure there's nothing I can do to help you? Oh, no, I'm good. And I should have realized that. But I'm 62. I'm still learning every day, every week.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's the blessing of learning. And now it's like, I'm open. Yeah, here's all right. I got this, and this is what I'm looking for. With energy. And they're like, oh my, this is great.
Of course. Yeah. That's super interesting, right? I think this is a perspective that not many people have heard before. I hadn't heard it what you just said, right? That a part of servitude is allowing others to help you. Right? You have, and I mean, sure, what an amazing gift you can give to someone to allow them to help you as well. I think that's our natural state of being. Is humans are honestly givers. They want to help, and so what they say, let me help you, help me, right? Or let me. What is it saying? Something like that, right?
Yeah,
that's
we got
what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, and
let's build it into legacy. The more you do that, you're building your legacy. So when it comes to being educated in your legacy, we just answered that question together. Serve. That's one of the ways you can educate yourself is serve and build that. You go out to reach somebody 3 months later, go, hey, I need some help with something. Me and you're going to jump. How can I help you? Because you've served them before. That's the memory you left them. You didn't go, hey, that's stupid so-and-so. What a dumb idea. I can't help you. You're going to go bankrupt. I mean, me just saying that my body is shaking in a bad way, but people do it. We talked about in the green room before the show, it's how people aren't serving. So build your legacy with servant mentality.
Yeah, I love that a lot, right? So like I think the education piece, right? The servant mentality, and I think if you can always try and focus on being growth oriented, right? Instead of thinking, like, hearing someone. It's funny I say that because a lot of people don't even listen, right? They don't listen at all. But
Yeah.
if someone tells you a story, it tells you an idea, and then your immediate thought is, but, and then you go downhill with it. But it won't work because of this. It won't work with this, right? You can just focus on always thinking upwards, right? Growth oriented, the mindset of like, well, why not? Why? Like, perfect. Like, it, of course it's going to happen. Like, it definitely can, right? I think that's another great way to start working towards building a legacy, right? Very, very simple. At least I like to say it's simple and think it's simple, but it takes practice as well, right? To train your mentality, always be thinking growth oriented, right? Towards the yes, build on top of something versus going downhill towards the negative. Really easy way to change your energy, change others' energy, and start moving towards that big goal of leaving a legacy on this world.
Yeah. And growth is so good. It's such the perfect word, because you're not going to build your legacy in a week. You're just not.
No.
Unless, you went and, I mean, you could, if you went to an event, there was a massive earthquake and you saved 100 people's lives. Well, but that's still part of your legacy. You still got more to build onto it. So again, like building a business and serving, it's an ongoing growing thing. And it should be part of your DNA, your habits every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And there you go. And you just sort of answered the question around what's the name of my company is. It's Journey to Legacy, right? Like you said, right? It's the ongoing, everyday, continuous, because you can have that overnight success. You can save people from the earthquake, right? But it's just a small part of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. You can save 100 people, be on the news, be interviewed, all that. And then the next month you rob from a bank.
Yeah.
You just right. That's your legacy. Your journey to legacy is detoured to the wrong route. So
yeah.
We're running out of time here.
Sure.
Last thing I want to ask you, a servant leader, what are those characteristics you see in a servant leader?
The characteristics that I see in a servant leader, I think we've talked about a lot of them already today.
Yeah.
Right? I think being growth oriented, for sure, right? Positivity is a big piece of it. Willingness to learn, right, is huge in a servant leader. And I think the one that we haven't talked about, which is extremely important to me, is listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
On being willing to listen, and listening with intent to understand, not listening to respond, right? I think luckily a lot of people are learning about what's called active listening. And I don't know who coined the phrase exactly, but it's truly listening to intake the information, not just, oh, what am I going to say next? What am I going to say next? Right? It's hearing them, and it's being willing to, even if you don't understand, say you didn't understand, right? Try and rephrase something to somebody, right? And ask deeper questions because you're curious, because you genuinely want to learn, right? Because you're growth oriented, because you want to build on it, right? And so I think listening is arguably the biggest trait of a servant leader, honestly. What are your opinions? What am I missing there in my
No,
pieces of the puzzle?
you nailed it, because I say the phrase "shut up and listen" when I'm interviewed on shows, because I used to shut up and never listen. I did it earlier and talked about it, and not a lot of people talk about leadership and listening. It's powerful. We all can do it. It's not a skill that you have to learn and go to college for or go to trade school for. It's something we have 2 ears, 1 mouth. You hear that phrase all the time. Use those things.
That's a good one.
This has been awesome, Wayne. I loved having you on the show. I really appreciate it.
Love being here, Steve. Thank you so much. I mean, it's great when you have someone that's just easy to talk to and somebody that wants to listen and understand. And that's how conversation just flows so easily. God bless. So I appreciate you greatly.
Yeah, I'm going to have you back too. We're going to have another conversation about wrapping around this, because there's much more we can talk to. I want to thank you all for listening. Listen twice, listen 3 times. There's a lot of information we put out there today that can help you. It's helping me today, what Wayne said. but it can help you as well. And I'll see all of you on our next episode.